10, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Hello everyone, I'm Genevieve Wood. Welcome to the Daily Signals Facebook Live. I am joined in our studio today by a very special guest, radio show host Dennis Prager. Hello, sir.
Genevieve, great to be with you.
Great to have you. Of course, everybody knows you as a radio show host. They know your voice, and they know you as a TV personality too. Some also know that you're an author. I don't know how many know that you're also a biblical scholar. Tell us your history there.
It's very funny for me to sit here and tell you I'm a biblical scholar. That's why
but you are.
I'm looking for words, which I don't normally do. But I love life, and I have been interested in. I conduct orchestras. I love everything, and I work hard at them. And this was the great challenge of my life, because I have been teaching the first 5 books of the Bible for all of my life. I went to yeshiva, which is rigorous Jewish training in the sources. So biblical Hebrew is almost like English to me. Mm-hmm. And that was a very big factor in my ability to write this. This is just volume 1. I'm doing a volume on each of the first 5 volumes of the Bible. This is Exodus. I didn't begin with Genesis. I began with Exodus. My fear is, it's not a fear, my realization is the most important book in American history has become an unimportant book for most Americans. And this is a major tragedy for the country. Where I ask people often, I admit, I get my wisdom, if you believe I have any, I get it from the Bible. Where do you get yours from? And it's fascinating. Oh, experience, my parents, and that's lovely, but if everybody gets it from their experience and parents, where do they get it from? I mean, in the final analysis, there isn't much wisdom. I mean, look at the university. It's wisdom-free, and it's also Bible-free.
Well, because there's no truth, right? Like, what's truth?
Oh, of course. Look, there isn't even gender.
Yeah.
You're born with a certain set of markers, but you're not male or female. I'm not talking about what we call somebody who has gender dysphoria. That's a humane issue, but there's a truth issue too. Anyway, we are in trouble. Western civilization is in trouble. There is no source of meaning other than what you create for yourself. This is the greatest book ever written. There's no doubt in my mind, and I want to make that clear to the reader.
So this is volume 1. I'm going to show everybody. It's the new book by Dennis Prager. It's called Exodus, God, Slavery, and Freedom. It is a big volume. It's put out by Regnery Faith.
It's called the Rational Bible.
The Rational Bible. I like it. Okay.
That's the reason for its existence. I never ask the reader to make a leap of faith. Never. This is what reason suggests. You choose. But let me tell you what reason suggests. And let me give you just one example of something that could be life-changing. The Bible tells us, the Old Testament, we'll stick to the Old Testament for a moment. The Old Testament tells us to love God, to love the stranger, to love our neighbor. But it doesn't tell us to love our parents. It tells us to honor our parents. And that is so liberating, because if you don't love your parents, God has no issue with you. It's how you treat them. And they should be, and by the way, the only creature we're told to honor is the parent. I mean, it's a very important thing, the parent issue, and I think it's important. In America, we have an unspoken epidemic of adult children who don't speak to parents. And those parents never see their grandchildren, and they call my radio show and they weep. That's also, by the way, something I bring to this, aside from I hope a real knowledge of the scriptures. I also bring a very worldly background of talking to millions of people for 35 years on every subject. How do I know about this epidemic? Because people call and cry. And then I've asked audiences, raise your hand if you know one family, doesn't mean yours, where the adult children do not speak to their parents. A third of the hands go up.
Why did you start with Exodus? As we know, Genesis is first, but why? Okay, so you want to start with that.
The 10 Commandments is the key. If people observe the 10 Commandments, and just as important, I have to say, or virtually as important. Believe that they were commanded. See, I begin the introduction to the book by noting that when I was in my early 20s, I had my own issues with my parents, as so many young people do. But because I believed God had said, honor your father and mother, I never missed calling them every week in their lives, and they lived till their 90s. I never missed, because whatever ambivalence I felt, and it ultimately subsided, but when it was there, I still felt I had to show them respect. And that's the difference between feeling commanded and not.
Well, and the difference between a God who's saying, I give you these commands because they're good for you.
That's right.
Not just because I want to give you rules to live by.
Yes.
I saw you interviewed earlier, and you made the point that we're entering to a period where we're doing this grand experiment with people who say, now, you know,
Right.
we've always had people believed in different gods, but now we're kind of in a generation where there's no God.
This is the first godless generation in human history. Pagans had gods, obviously, then we had monotheism, and this is the most radical experiment in the history of the world. Can you make good societies that have no reference to the transcendent? You are the source of your own values. I think it's a failing experiment. At the very least, the secular world doesn't even reproduce itself. The will to survive as a distinct group is dead. And you know, if somebody calls my show and they tell me they have 5 or more children, I know. I don't even guess. I know they're either an Orthodox Jew, an evangelical Christian, a Roman Catholic who's faithful to the church, or a Mormon.
You know, it's one of those, right? But it's definitely a religious person.
I would like to know what percentage of families in America that are secular have 5 or more children. 1%? The consequences of the death of God, even conservatives don't want to look at. My column today, a syndicated column, my column today is about secular conservatives. There are so many secular conservatives, and they're wonderful people, and they write tremendously important things, but they're as secular as their left-wing adversaries. And they don't acknowledge that America has a trinity, in e pluribus unum, liberty, and God we trust. They think in God we trust is as irrelevant as the left does.
It's a throwaway line.
It's a throwaway line.
When you just look at the culture broadly, where did you see this trend starting? And I don't know if you addressed that here, but how do we get back on the right track? Buy the book, give it to a friend. That's one I know. Right.
Well, no, when did secularism begin? I mean, the 19th century is the answer. Why did it begin? Was in large measure, to get a PhD in the late 19th century, you had to go to Germany. The Germans had already established socialism and secularism as the intellectual ideals. So they were shipping over Americans with PhDs who believed in socialism and secularism. And the college, even then when few people attended, is very influential on the societal thinking. And that's where I believe it began. But I also hold a lot of religious people responsible. Yeah. They forgot how to make the case for religion, and it just became faith alone, which is lovely faith, but it's not enough. God gave us reason. Let's use it.
As I said, people should buy this book, and you can do that by going to Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble.
Even Costco is picked up.
That's right,
By
Costco.
the way, I just want to note, this is I am shocked, I admit it. This is #2 on Amazon. It is the second best-selling book in the United States of America as I speak to you. Now, how is that possible? How is a commentary on the Bible?
Because people are hungry for it.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. And the term rational is a turn-on. This guy's going to use reason to lead me to God? I'd like to see that.
Well, if you want to see this book, and I think you will, it's called The Rational Bible. It's by Dennis Prager. Again, you can go to Costco and get it, Amazon, pick your favorite place. Dennis, thank you for talking with us.
Great to be with you.
Thank you, and congratulations on the book.
Thank you.
Sir?
Awesome. Thank you, sir.
Well done.